Hi, I'm Kris from Theme Park to Table. In today's episode of A Little Extra Pixie Dust, I'm going to show you my technique for cooking bacon. Now, this is a technique I use primarily if the recipe calls for crumbled or chopped bacon. So first I'm going to start off by just taking the bacon and I'm going to cut it into like little bite-sized chunks. You can just kind of stack up what you have, what you're working with, and just kind of cut right straight through it all at once. Okay. So I find this to be easier than trying to crumble or deal with bacon after it's cooked and hot. I also think that by cooking it like this, it tends to get more uniformly cooked. You have less spots on ends that are less cooked and less spots that are overcooked. After I get it all chopped, I just break it apart. Doesn't all have to be perfect, but just kind of a general rough break apart to keep the pieces away from each other a little bit. I'm going to go through and get these kind of just broken apart a little. When you're sauteing it, you're actually going to use your cooking utensil to break it apart more. But what I'm looking for right now is just not to have huge stacks of bacon in the pan trying to cook. So let's finish getting these all kind of broken apart. I am actually cutting up bacon for a large recipe, which is why I have so much bacon. If you were using less bacon, that would work. This would work just as well. It would probably cook quicker in your pan, but you can really do whatever amount you want at one time, which is also nice because when you try to cook strips of bacon, that's not always the case. Okay, I say we're pretty good. Let me get this out of the way. I'm just going to take the bacon over here and I'm just going to put it into my cold pan. You don't want to put bacon into a hot pan because it'll cause it to splatter even more than what it's already going to splatter. So get this spread out kind of to cover, and move this so you can see, so you can kind of cover the bottom of the pan with it. Everybody into the party. I'm going to drop this in the sink, drop the cutting board in the sink, rinse my hands quick, and then we'll get it started. I'm going to turn this on to about medium high. I'm just going to use a wooden spatula. I'm just going to start moving this around a little bit. I'm going to wait for the pan to get hot. As the pan gets hot, it's going to start rendering down the fat. I have a plate with paper towels on it ready to go, and a slotted spoon that I'll use to actually take the bacon out and put it on the plate when it's done cooking. What I typically do with the bacon grease afterwards is I will pour the hot grease into a coffee mug, and I will set it off to the side to cool. Be really weird if it dried. To cool, and then I'll actually save it in a Tupperware container in my fridge, and I will use it later for other recipes. So this is going to take a bit of time to get hot and start rendering. So I think what we're going to do is I am going to cook this bacon to a pretty crispy consistency for the recipe I'm using. And I will meet you back here before it's finished to show you what it looks like. So I'll see you in a few. Hi, welcome back. It's been about 20 minutes, and if you take a look, our bacon has cooked down. It is rendered. There is a lot of bacon grease in here. It is just approaching that crispy, crunchy stage where if you take it a little bit too far, it's going to burn. I'm actually going to pull it right now because this bacon is actually for a recipe that's going to have to go in the oven and bake as well. I'm going to turn off the heat, and then I'm going to kind of move the bacon to the side a little bit. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a slotted spoon, and I'm just going to use the spoon to kind of fish out the bacon and kind of give it a light little drain as I go. Also, I wanted to mention that when this started really rendering down, there was quite a bit of fat. I did turn the temperature from medium high down to medium so that it would keep some of the bacon grease splattering in check, because nothing hurts quite like a bacon grease burn. So we're just going to work all this bacon out of here, kind of spreading it out on the plate as we go. You do want it to drain as much as possible before we use it. I typically will, after I finish this, I'll grab another paper towel once it's cooled for a few minutes and it doesn't burn you to touch it. And I'll kind of put it on top and I'll kind of pat it on top just to kind of get a little bit of the extra grease off of it. So we're almost there. It's kind of hard to see through the foaminess of the bacon grease, but we've almost fished all the bits out. So before I drain the grease into a mug, which I'm going to do afterwards, I'll also take the wooden spoon and I'll scrape some of the stuff off the bottom to get some of the brown bacon bits in there, because that is really delicious when you're cooking. So I'm going to move this off to the side so it's off the heat. And here we have it. Chopped, crisp, cooked bacon without all the mess of trying to do it when it's hot. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time.